What's up, Matt from Urchfab here. In today's video I'm going to be stripping the mini engine down to see if I can find where this missing horsepower has gone. So I've read the David Vizard's Tuning the A-Series engine book from front to back and decided I was going to take the cylinder head off the Mini and just see if there's anything that stood out as to why this perhaps isn't making the power that it should. I think it's about 10 horsepower down from where it should be. This car hasn't been run for quite a while, so I drained all the old fuel out, which is very easy because I've got a override fuel pump button on the PDM. Before I actually start it, I always crank it over and make sure I've got full oil pressure. Start button in the engine bay just to make life easier for reaching the choke. I just wanted to get everything warmed up. Get the oil around the engine, get the coolant up to temperature. So it's a pretty quick and easy job to get the cylinder head off of one of these. The only thing that slows it down a bit is the fact that the exhaust manifold studs are in the way. So I ended up actually just taking the studs out so that I didn't have to move the exhaust manifold, and then I could just lift the head straight off. As soon as all the pipe work's out the way and you've got the rocker assembly out, push rods come out, rest of the head bolts come out, and that's it. Head comes straight off. So on turning the engine over, when the light would shine off it, it was really highlighting what looked like quite a lot of scoring in the bores. But on a closer inspection, there's no actual scoring. Like, you can't feel any grooves. It's more like markings. Definitely not what I would have expected to see, but I'm not really concerned about it because, like I said, you can't actually feel anything there. So I'm going to leave that. You can see that there's a lot of oil in the exhaust ports, and the head doesn't have any valve stem oil seals on the exhaust valves, which is common practice on these, as the exhaust valve is under pressure, so it's blowing the oil back up, whereas it's sucking it through the inlet, so it just gives the valve a bit of extra lubrication on a race engine. Getting the valve collets out was quite difficult. I've got like a normal style valve spring compressor, and after tapping I normally tap the top caps to loosen off the collets, but these were super tight, so I had to put pressure on with the drill and then tap it with the pressure on it to actually get the collets to come out. So I guess that's probably a good thing. Makes you think they're never going to come out by accident. There was a little bit of play in the exhaust guides, definitely a bit more than the inlets. Once I got the valves out, I could see the first issue with the porting, which stood out. This is an area that in the Vizard book he sort of bangs on about a lot, of how this has a big effect on the flow and how that should be cut away to a concave shape, not like a rounded shape like mine is there, and you can sort of see how much material still could be removed from what would be directly behind the valve there. The combustion chambers could do with a bit of work as well. There's a few sharp edges. This part here is another area which Vizard recommends that be a 3/16 radius, which is about 5 mil. I've got a much bigger radius on there. And then just generally the shaping of the porting is quite unsymmetrical. You can see the right side to that port is quite different to the left. This one's better, but then the actual circular part at the end, at the entrance, is quite uneven there. So visually, there's definitely some improvements I could make, just tidying those bits up for sure. This is the exhaust port, and you can see again there's some unevenness on the roof of that and the lower bit. So I definitely could, I think, improve on that, just going by what the book says. It's quite nice to at least find something. And then you can see those sharp edges in the combustion chamber, and then that's another area there that looks like it could be improved on. There's quite a lump which has been removed on the inlet there. Next job was to CC the head to work out the compression ratio, because I was wanting to bump the compression up a little bit. So I just use Perspex with sealed on there with a bit of grease, and then just accurately measure. I measured 2 of the combustion chambers and they were both 22 cc. Next job, I got the engine to top dead center and then measured the block height to piston height. The pistons are actually sat down a little way down the bore, so I initially did it with a micrometer, which was quite difficult, and then just verified it with a feeler gauge, but I do need to get myself like a proper depth mic for doing this accurately. But 0.2 of a mil was what I came out with, and then once I had all that, I could do all my compression ratio calculations. Right, so this is where I think I have found the missing horsepower on the engine. So the engine was spec'd to be 11.3 to 1 compression. My engine's running cast Amiga pistons, which don't recommend going much over that, but in this book he does say that the cast Amigas can be pushed a lot further than that. So I thought I would try bumping this up a little bit, along with sorting the porting out, and see if that, made any significant difference. But when I did all the calculations for the compression ratio, I'm coming out with a figure quite different to the 11.3, so I'm just going to run through everything. Maybe anyone else that's watching can double check and verify this, but it's a calculation taken from the book of how you work out what the compression ratio is, and there's obviously lots of different things you need to measure to know. So the piston information, piston sizing, I got from MED, where the pistons came from, because I couldn't measure the piston because it's still in the engine. But the piston at the crown is 7.49 millimeters, and the gap to the piston ring is 7 millimeters. The bore of the engine is 71.2 millimeters. That gives me a ring land volume of 0.55 cc. We've then got a 6.5 cc dish on top of the piston. Then you've got to take into account where the piston is actually sat below the block height, so there's 0.2 mil gap between top of the block and where the piston sits, which is 8 thou. That equates to 0.81 cc's. The BK450 head gasket, the listed sizing of that on mini spares is 3.3 compressed, on MED is 4.2 compressed. You can use the table in this book. This little chart gives you all the dimensions, so you can work out how many cc's there are for however far down the bore your piston is. The BK450 head gasket, which is 73.5 bore, the compressed thickness of that gasket was 1 millimeter. So I can use that chart to work out that 1 millimeter of depth down a 73.5 bore would be 4.2. If you actually measure the gasket, it's slightly bigger than 73.5, so I calculated it at 4.28 cc's, but just for this calculation I'm going to use the 4.2. You saw me measure the head, and that was 22 cc's in the head. So the total of that is 34.06. So that's the total combustion chamber and piston space at top dead centre. You then got a 1293, which is what the cc is. You divide that by 4. You add your combined combustion chamber to that value. So it's 34.06 added to 323.25 divided by the same value again, 34.06, and that's giving me a 10.49 compression ratio. Should be 11.3 and we're actually at 10.49 or 10.5. So that's quite a way off, and that's going to make a significant amount of difference. Either I have made a mistake here somewhere and something's wrong, or a mistake has been made when the engine was built. I actually hope this is right, because it's an easy way to essentially get the engine back to where I think it should be in terms of power. So yeah, if anyone wants to double check all that for me, feel free. This book's been a great read. It's a difficult book to read. The way that they'll finish a sentence here and then it'll start again on the next page, like somewhere completely random, is quite frustrating. It doesn't just finish there and then automatically go up to here and go down. It might come over here. I can't get my head around it, but here it's showing that the bit that I was talking about with the porting, the bit I showed you on my head, where it shows here that it's cut to a concave, and mine's got a very obvious big lump there. You can see it here as well, how thinned out that is. I wish I'd read this book before. I think I probably would have had a go at doing one myself. I'd definitely like to have a go at building my own race engine. I'm not saying that because I've read one book I now know what I'm doing, but a lot of it is just to do with precision, measuring things, being meticulous with all of it. The difficult bit, that's kind of the black art, I suppose, is knowing all these tricks which equate to power that take years and years of doing something to learn. I mean, it's all in the book, like all the tricks are in here. So, this is kind of like a cookery book for how to build a fast A-series engine. I know this is old, and I'm sure a lot of the top guys are doing different stuff to this now, but I would just like to build an engine with this as my guide and just see what I could achieve, if you like. So that is something for the future. Right, moving on. This is the first of a few Christmas draws that I'm going to be doing. This one's for the last Urchfab wallet. I thought I'd sold all of these. I made them probably a couple of years ago now, and I found one left in the bottom of a box. Nice little custom Urchfab leather wallet. Comes with some stickers and one of these chrome rubber badge things. I won't open it. I can show you mine actually. This one's been going a couple of years, holding up well. Room for all your cards, all your money. Look out, someone's doing alright. So yeah, someone's getting a new wallet. If you've entered into the Christmas raffle to win the Mark II Escort or 10 grand, then you're automatically entered into any of these little ones. So this is the current competition. We've got 129 entrants in it so far. If you have entered in the last 2 or 3 days, these videos are a little bit behind, so that will be why you're not in this one. So what I've done is all the entrants I've put into Chat GPT and got him to put them in alphabetical order, just so you can check you're on there. There's 129 of you in total on there, so let's pick a random name. Can you pick a name from the list at random and add some suspense. It's not how you spell suspense. Like a game show host. Thanks. Feeling the suspense already. Ladies and gentlemen, gather round. It's time for the great name reveal. 129 names, one winner. Who will it be? Let's find out. Dramatic music starts, spinning the wheel and slowing down, and it's landing on, getting closer, almost there. Drumroll intensifies. Glenn Holt. Congratulations, Glenn. You have been randomly selected by the universe itself. Well done, Glenn Holt. You got a new wallet. So drop me an email, urchfab@hotmail.com, and give me your address, and I'll send the last remaining Urchfab wallet over to you. So there we go. I just want to say big thanks to everyone that has got involved already. It's what's keeping all this going, honestly. So yeah, I do really appreciate it. All the details are here if you want to grab yourself a ticket. And I can confirm it is one awesome prize. So yeah, that is going to be it for this one. Just watching. See you on the next one.